art of being humble, let me get to it. That motivation music, get control of your life, don't let nobody else do it. Cause and I gon' have Metro S550s cruising. Feel like you winning on the...
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. Now, I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like it, you dislike, hit us up on the voicemail line, 219-413-9405. And of course, we will play your take back on our next episode. And then shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off of your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. And this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but still a lot of basketball going on, even though we just witnessed a pretty good Super Bowl. Some people say it was boring. I thought it had its elements of exciting points. It was very defensive, and let's just talk about it a little bit. So Super Bowl 60, we get the Seattle Seahawks. They beat down on the New England Patriots, and honestly, congrats to the Seahawks. I'm happy they won. This was the team I predicted to win. That's not the only reason I'm happy, but it is a big reason. And I thought the better team ended up winning in this Super Bowl. I think if you watched this Super Bowl, you clearly seen the better team won. And if you watched the playoffs if you watched the playoffs in this postseason, you've seen the better team won. And honestly, you could even argue if you watched all of the regular season, you've seen the better team won here. The Seattle Seahawks, they played to this elite level, all playoffs, all postseason. Every game that they've been in has been an absolute battle. They've been tested game after game as they advanced to the Super Bowl. Yes, they had the home field advantage, but that is the perk of being number one seed. So credit to them for capitalizing on that, and they really, really deliver. I'm happy for Sam Darnold, the quarterback of the Seahawks. This is a guy who we pretty much thought Sam Darnold's career was over. Especially since a lot of people in his draft class panned out to be elite. You look at Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, all these other elite guys, Josh Allen, these elite quarterbacks who have the statistics, but they're missing that one key statistic that everybody cares about, which is winning a Super Bowl. And just shout out to Sam Darnold for really, sticking with it. I'm sure it's been an up and down battle for him, just being on all these different teams and going through these different things of the narratives being good and bad for him. And then, being tossed around this league, I'm sure it's not easy. So I'm happy for Sam Darnold, the way he's turned it around and the way he ended up. He didn't play the best game in the Super Bowl, let's be honest, but he won it. He got him a ring, and he played good in other games on the journey to the Super Bowl. So for him to get a lot of help and get bailed out by his defense, that's okay. The other team in this matchup was been bailed out by their defense the whole time. But anyway, so more about this game. 29-13, the Seattle Seahawks won, and initially, my thoughts on this game is it was an incredible defensive game. The first touchdown didn't come into the fourth quarter. The Pats offense, they just could not move the ball. And this was one of the aspects where I said the Seahawks would win because I knew they could move the ball no matter what. They might not be able to score every time in the red zone, but they can get there at least. And they can move the ball downfield and at least kick some field goals. And that brings me to my next point here is nobody can never talk about, it's just special teams. You see how crucial special teams are. Their special teams has been on point all postseason for the most part. And in this Super Bowl game, they got 15 points just from field goals. So that was a huge momentum booster for them. It put them far out ahead, just a little bit enough to keep them out of the Patriots' reach. And then when they finally scored a touchdown, the belt came off. And then it started swinging after a while. So, the special teams was extremely important here. And I always thought it was a matter of time until the Patriots couldn't get bailed out by the defense. As soon as the Patriots would need to score in terms of winning a game, and as soon as the Patriots needed to score to win a ball game, they would not be able to do it because they haven't been able to score that efficiently all postseason. And I understand the main argument here is, they've been playing these elite defenses and these elite defenses and these elite defenses. That's cool. But I tried to tell people multiple times, what don't you understand about the Seahawks having an elite defense? As you see, This defense caused plenty of problems, but yet they didn't have to only rely on the defense because they have a very dynamic offense. And that's what's really separated the Patriots from the Seahawks. And this is exactly why I said the Seahawks are better than the New England Patriots in just about every aspect of football in terms of the postseason. Because what I've seen from the Patriots this postseason and what I've seen from the Seahawks in this postseason, one team looked far better than the other. And again, not statistically, this doesn't favor this claim, but based on the eye test and everything I've witnessed week after week in this postseason, the Seahawks were far more dominant than the New England Patriots. So to me, we've seen that on full display here. The dynamic ability of the Seahawks offense. Kenneth Walker, this was a guy, he splurged all game and he went crazy all game. Just kind of going back to the first half of this game, it showed you exactly what I meant. Drake May had under 50 passing yards in the first half of this game. The Patriots offense had the Patriots offense had under 40 rushing yards in this football game of the first half. Drake May was sacked 3 times in the first half of this game. And I know people say, well, the O-line this, the O-line that. The O-line has been bad all postseason. Drake May has been sacked 5 times in every game of the postseason. So this wasn't even a big surprise that the Seahawks were going to eat him alive. I already knew that was going to happen. So the offense was extremely stagnant, and you cannot play that way against a talented Seahawks team that has a great defense and also a tremendous dynamic offense. Because while the Seahawks were struggling in the first half, couldn't move the ball, couldn't really get any first downs, while the Patriots were struggling in the first half, couldn't get any first downs, couldn't really move the ball, couldn't complete passes outside of the flat routes, the Seahawks, they weren't thriving, but yet they were still able to move the ball. The ground game was working. Kenneth Walker damn near rushed for 100 yards just before halftime. And although they didn't score, they weren't really in the red zone and doing big things like that. They were able to at least kick field goals. And we see how much that separated the two teams in this ball game here. So first half was definitely very defensive. Sam Darnold didn't really do much in the first half, but ultimately the Seahawks still were able to move the ball. And this is why I had confidence in them, because even though they might not score, they can go downfield and move the ball and at least get some field goals, get in field goal range. But I didn't see that from the New England Patriots. And then you kind of turn toward the second half of this game, and this continued for the New England Patriots. They still struggled. They continue to have some rough times with moving the ball down the field. They didn't really get activated. Ground game never really got going, couldn't really complete any passes. At one point, I believe it was like midway in the third quarter, at one point, the Patriots only had 4 first downs. At all the way through midway point of the third quarter, the Patriots only had 4 first downs. And to give you more context, the Seahawks had 14 at that time. So another example of Seahawks can move the ball, but the Patriots just can't move the ball as well. And look, man, this is something I've been preaching, and not to say it like a mockingbird to be repeating all the time, but in that second half, the Seahawks came out guns blazing. Still didn't get a touchdown until the fourth quarter, but they moved the ball efficiently and continued to put points on the board, whether it was field goals. I mean, that was the main thing there. But Kenneth Walker, he struggled a little bit and got it going again. They were able to rely on their ground game much more than the New England Patriots were able to rely on their ground game. And when they needed to pass, the Seahawks needed to pass and complete some passes, they were able to do that. And eventually it led them to getting a touchdown, whereas the Patriots, by the time they were actually able to complete a pass, the game was damn near over. And they couldn't really do anything at this point. So I understand, and this is not to say, oh, well, the Patriots are an untalented team. I don't want that to be the misconception of me giving the Seahawks a lot of praise. The Patriots are still very much talented. But now you see clearly what I've been trying to tell everybody and what I've been trying to tell all these Patriots fans all season long. You've been getting bailed out by the defense. Yes, people want to come at me and comment and say, oh, well, Drake May threw for this many in the postseason. Okay, he was throwing some garbage touchdowns in some of these games in the postseason, or he was barely even cracking 200 yards, if that. So this is just what I've been saying. When the Patriots are in a situation where they need to score, can they do it? And we've seen that when they were finally faced in a situation where they had to score because there was pressure from the other team's offense being able to light up the scoreboard, the Patriots were not able to do that. So this is all I've been saying. I haven't been saying the Patriots are a bad team and they suck and they shouldn't have been there. Yes, they got bailed out sometimes. Yes, they got lucky so far this season. But yes, they did win games as well. And Drake May had to seal off some games as well. So I want to give him credit on that part. But in terms of other teams putting pressure on the Patriots offense, they were not faced with that challenge all postseason. And a lot of times they weren't really faced with that challenge in the regular season too. Not saying it didn't happen, but a lot of times they didn't have to go through that. The defense kept them ahead, and the defense kept them in a comfortable situation where the offense can stall out a couple times and they can still win a ball game. But that just does not happen against the Seattle Seahawks because they're far more talented. And this game here, you see they were far more talented, and this is just a better, well-rounded team. They do everything better than the New England Patriots, as I've said. So I love the game, man. Some standout players here, I definitely want to give some credit to them because they balled out. They played a solid game. Obviously, the MVP, Kenneth Walker, running back for the Seahawks, man. This man, he did a tremendous job all game. I think if that MVP would have went to anybody else outside of Kenneth Walker, I would have had to call headquarters and complain because it was clearly his game from start to finish. As soon as the Seahawks came out on offense, he was the main ingredient that got that ball moving down the field and led them to kicking all them field goals. So Kenneth Walker, well-deserved MVP. This man was balling out of his mind. I mean, the patience he's ran with. He had some crazy good runs. The run where he just pretty much, he was standing behind the line of scrimmage. He showed his patience, and then eventually it opened up and he cut through, picked up the first down. He broke a lot of tackles tonight. I don't have the specific number, but he was just an absolute animal. He had some catches. He was just everywhere on the offensive side of the ball, and he continued to be a problem for that Patriots defense time after time. And total, he finished with 27 carries, 135 yards. But man, this dude was just, he was balling. He was balling out his ass, man. I tell you that right now. That was a well-deserved MVP. I love seeing that from Michigan State alum Kenneth Walker. Another guy too, want to give him his credit. We didn't see much from receivers on all ends, but on the flip side of wide receivers, I definitely got to give Christian Gonzalez his props, man. Like, we've known Christian Gonzalez has been elite all season. We've seen him elite, all regular season, and even in the postseason, he's been elite. But I definitely want to give Christian Gonzalez his props because just alone in this Super Bowl, whether it was first half and second half, he saved the Patriots it could have been some bad plays. He saved, I think one of them was a touchdown. Definitely would have been a touchdown for sure earlier in the first half. And then in the second half, he had a couple deflections as well. But he was just on everything, and his side was locked up. So I want to give him the credit. And this is why I try to just give credit to the defensive guys in the secondary, because usually when it's very quiet from wide receivers, we immediately go blame the quarterback. We're like, oh, well, why isn't he giving such the ball? Sometimes these receivers aren't getting the ball because they're locked up. So I want to give Christian Gonzalez his props. Usually when you don't hear a guy's name in the game, whether it's deflections or not, like, usually that's a really good thing for defensive backs and guys in the secondary. So that was huge for them, man. Christian Gonzalez, want to give him his props. Also, going back to the Seahawks, I want to give the entire defensive front for the Seattle Seahawks. That defensive line got busy, man. And I knew they would have a field day. 6 sacks on Drake May, which was a Super Bowl record, by the way. And I know the Patriots offensive line is very young and they're still got a lot to learn. But like I said, this team has given up 5 sacks in every playoff game that they've played so far. So I just knew the Patriots would eat them alive. That Seahawks front four, man, was just lethal. A lot of times, it wasn't even the blitz that was really getting to Drake May. He didn't get sacked off a blitz a lot of times. It was just the pass rush was that good. They were beating the Patriots' offensive line every time they stepped on the field. And every time they ended up forcing a sack or a fumble, whatever the case was for Drake May. So I was definitely excited to see that about the Seahawks front four, man. They were just getting to it. And I had a feeling that would already be the case, but tough break there. And another thing too, last thing here before we jump on to the last of the last, which is, halftime stuff. But I don't feel bad for Drake May, man. First, I'm a little bit of a hater. I ain't gonna lie. But me being a hater aside, I don't really feel bad for Drake May because looking at this performance of what we've seen from Drake May in this Super Bowl was one of the worst performances I've seen from any quarterback. I'm sorry, man. A lot of people ain't gonna agree with it. A lot of people ain't gonna say it, but no, it has to be said because I remember at one point in the regular season, people was calling this man Drake May Brady 2.0. People would say, oh, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I was hearing that he's better than Matthew Stafford by far. I heard a lot of crazy things, and if you check some of these comments way back in these videos, you will see that people was on my head about, oh, Drake May being Brady 2.0. You just flat out hate. No, he's been playing, especially in the playoffs. This man has been playing trash in the playoffs. Let's keep it a buck, man. Like, he's a great player, and I think he still has a lot to develop and will be great in this league, and he had a tremendous regular season. Let's not get that confused. But postseason, Drake May, oh, this man was seeing ghosts all postseason. He's been trash. He's been trash. His QBR has not been high. You look at his completion percentage, it has not been the best. And in the Super Bowl specifically, the game where you need to show up out of any game you could possibly play, Drake May wet the bed because some of these passes, where the hell was you throwing the ball? The interception he threw, 2 interceptions this game. Where the hell was you throwing the ball? Gave up a fumble and things like that. What was going on, man? He was out there seeing ghosts. I know that Seahawks defense is elite, yes, but based on what people told me, oh, the Seahawks defense is going to be nothing because Drake May already played some of the best defenses in the NFL, meaning the Denver Broncos, meaning the Houston Texans. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll let it slide. But now we've seen this performance here, and it's only right that we critique Drake May in his play that he had in the Super Bowl. It was garbage. It was absolutely garbage, and one of the worst performances that I've seen in the NFL Super Bowl. Absolutely. So again, great future, had a great regular season. Will probably be back in the Super Bowl, and I'm sure he's going to be competing for a Super Bowl because this is an elite Patriots team. So I'm not going to go that far in terms of saying the crazy things, but I think it's only fair that we be honest about what we've seen from Drake May, man, because these performances that he had in the playoffs was not good. And it just, for the Super Bowl, a game where you have to show your best, it wasn't good. And for anybody who's out here and they're like, oh, well, Sam Darnold, he did the same thing. This is the same thing with Sam Darnold. So you can't talk about Drake May playing bad if you don't bring up Sam Darnold. I understand this because I know this is going to be a thing that people say to me is, oh, you're going hard on Drake May for playing bad in the Super Bowl when Sam Darnold did the same thing. Yes, Sam Darnold didn't play the best game. Drake May stunk it up even worse than Sam Darnold, which is even crazy. But I've seen Sam Darnold go off all postseason. This man has been balling at a very high caliber all postseason. The game against the Rams, he went off. You look at the game before that, he went off. All of his games in the postseason has been great, absolute cinema. With Drake May, I can't say the same. So this would have been the first game that we watched Drake May go off, and it had been a performance where we're congratulating him and saying, okay, he actually won this game rather than his defense locking up and winning him the game. So I understand the whole Sam Darnold played just as bad as Drake May, but Drake May has been bad all postseason. At least Sam Darnold has shown us some performances that were elite throughout the postseason outside of the Super Bowl. So it's okay for him to get carried one game, whereas Drake May has been getting carried all postseason. I'm just saying, based on what y'all told me, it's okay. It's okay for guys to get carried and he can still be the guy and be the MVP. So I'm just saying, man, it rubbed me a little weird, but you know, that's all that is for the game. And ultimately, I thought it was interesting. It was a little slow. It was a little boring. Definitely it was a field goal fest. Yeah, Super Bowl 60 was a field goal fest. We had some good moments. There were some times that was interesting in the game, but ultimately, if you was back and forth doing whatever and wasn't really watching, you ain't missed that much, man. It was a field goal fest. It was a field goal fest. Kenneth Walker put on a great performance. That's probably the only thing you missed. But other than that, Drake May ain't do nothing. The Patriots ain't do nothing. It was a Kenneth Walker show in a field goal fest. Put it that way. But I ain't mad at it. It was also very defensive. There was some great defensive battles going on in this game between these two teams. So I'm okay with that part. But field goal fest. All right, man, look, let's go on to the halftime show. We had Bad Bunny at halftime, and I liked it. So we'll talk about that in just a sec. It is halftime. We'll be right back. All right, man. Welcome back to the Run with me, Manny Wilson. Hit us up on a voicemail line if you want to leave a quick take or just have your voice heard. That's 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. We do have one voicemail. So I mentioned we was going to get into the halftime stuff, but this is a voicemail we have. I don't even know when it came in. Actually came in yesterday. So we'll play it. I don't know if it's about the Super Bowl or not because I haven't listened, but let's find out what this guy's talking about and let's hear it.
Yeah, I just seen your video, man. Listen, although everything you saying is logical and it makes sense, but if we look at players and playmakers, bruh, New England match up perfectly with them boys. Like, we got two of the best run stoppers when healthy, top 3 in the league. And you can look at the stats when Kenneth Walker, because they're going to rely heavy on that run to open up the pass. So if Kenneth Walker can't get no runs out that line, which I'm very positive is going to happen Sunday, now Sam Darnold going to be in the situation of trying to play shootout with the defense. And plus, one thing that people don't give New England credit for, the defense communicate well all levels of the field. They're all in sync of what's going on. So if you think that shit going to be easy and you think them boys going to win the game like how everybody's saying they're going to win the game, I got another thing coming. It's going to be a whole different game y'all going to see on Sunday.
Oh, man, you should have never left this voicemail, dog. I ain't gonna lie to you. First, I appreciate you for calling. Let me let you know that. I appreciate you for calling. But, looks like I was right. You said a couple things that the Seahawks match up perfectly, or the Patriots match up perfectly with the Seahawks. All I know is the game wasn't as close as a lot of y'all anticipated. 29-13, and the game was much worse. It was one-sided for the Seahawks, if you will, because some of these points came in garbage time when the game was already over. So it's just funny to me that so many people watched the Patriots defense carry time after time after time after time, and didn't expect the Seahawks offense to go off like they've been doing all postseason. And this just tells me, bro, that some of y'all don't watch football outside of your main team, because everyone who's a Patriots fan and they just thought they was going to just go to war and beat down on the Seahawks and just battle them and it'd be a shootout offensively or whatever the case was. You had some sort of fantasy in your mind. It just tells me you did not watch the Seahawks, because if you watch the Seahawks all postseason, you would see that they are elite on all sides of the ball. They're elite offensively. They're elite defensively. They're elite on the defensive front. They're elite in the secondary. They're elite on the ground game. They're elite when throwing the ball, when blocking, when run blocking, in special teams, as you see. So for all those Patriots fans that would say, "Oh, they match up perfectly," and they'll give the Seahawks a run for their money. Stop it! I told you this was gonna happen. I literally told you guys that the Seattle Seahawks were better than the New England Patriots in every aspect of football, and people still wanted to clown me as if I was wrong. I told you this, and this just tells me all I'm gonna say at this: watch football outside of your team, because this just tells me if you didn't know that the Seahawks was this elite on all aspects of the field, just shows me that you weren't really paying attention to them in the postseason. You was watching them boring ass AFC games when the defenses was winning the games for Drake May and the other team had no quarterback or offense to even put pressure on the Patriots offense. So I'm just saying, man, I'm gonna leave it at that. I ain't even gonna get worked up about it because I already talked about it in the first half of the show. But outside of the game, again, appreciate you for calling. I love it. I'm glad you left a take on there, but I told you, man, your timing was the timing was awful. And I knew this was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it would be one way or the other, but I knew it was gonna end up happening because I was recording today. But let's do this, because the halftime show, man. Halftime show with Bad Bunny. Man, it was a tremendous performance. I actually really, really enjoyed this performance with Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny, he put on a halftime show, if you will, one of the best that I've seen. I didn't really understand I ain't gonna say one of the best I've seen in more recent years, more so I would say last year and possibly even the year before that. I would say Bad Bunny has put on one of the better halftime shows that we've seen, even though I ain't even understand what the hell he was saying. I did know some of the songs, but I can't sit here and lie and tell you I know word for word what he's saying, or I just know the concept of some of the songs. But long story short, it looked fun. I thought the visuals were great. I thought the way he put everything together was great. I thought the camera work was amazing. I thought the way he set up the stage and the transitions that they had from going here to there was amazing. I thought even the way he sounded was really good. Even though I didn't understand exactly what he was saying, the voice was really good in terms of his singing and breath control. All of these sort of things, I thought it was pretty good. And most of all, you know, I think a lot of people was really scared that Bad Bunny would put on like a statement, say fuck ICE and stuff like that, which I would say, you know, I understand why he didn't. But I think the route that Bad Bunny went in terms of saying, oh, well, fuck ICE and we hate what everybody's doing right now was really good. The approach of saying, you know, love is stronger than hate. I personally, that's something I love that, man. I love it. I thought it was really good. And also just saying like, you know, this is what makes America good is the fact that we have everyone here and there's so much diversity. This is what America truly is. I thought it was great, man. So I have no real complaints. I don't really think I have any complaints actually about the halftime show. I know people will nitpick at certain things and get very weird about political things, but you know, I think it's silly if people are getting very nitpicky about certain things that happen in the halftime show, especially if these are the same people that didn't even know that this man Bad Bunny is an American. So I don't really want to get too far into it, but above all, I thought it was good, man. He made it entertaining in a way where even if you didn't understand what he was saying, you could still have a good time. And I guess that's the big takeaway is if you didn't really enjoy that halftime show with Bad Bunny, to me, I more so look at it like you had you had intention of not liking that halftime show. If you didn't enjoy it, you had intention of not liking that halftime show. You didn't want to have fun when you watched the halftime show. You probably didn't even give it a chance to see the good aspects of the halftime show. You probably picked it apart and only looked for negativity if you didn't enjoy that halftime show, because that was a damn good halftime show. Especially if you think this half show time wasn't good, then I would hate to see what you thought about the previous halftime shows that we've seen over the last 3 years, because this one with Bad Bunny, you could argue that it's one of the best that we've seen in the past few years. Personally, I love Kendrick Lamar, and I don't even want to compare artistry and things like that, but I personally like this performance much better than last year's. I thought it was good on aspects, and watching it, I just had a good experience watching it. I just enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. So look, man, outside of that, I'm gonna leave y'all on some positivity. Sorry if your team lost and you know, you're the Patriots, but I'm happy the Seahawks won, and this is the end of football season, man. This is it. Football season is over. We're about to go into some free agency. I'll probably still cover that part of the Falcons. But successful hate watch. Successful hate watch against the New England Patriots. Happy about that, you know. Patriots, they ended up going to the Super Bowl and losing. It was about time. It was only a matter of time until the Patriots seen an ass whooping like this, because they've been getting bailed out all postseason. I mean, you look at the road that they had. Congrats on winning these games. It's hard to win ball games in general, yet along the playoffs. So congrats to that. But it was only a matter of time until you ran into a competent offense, or an offense that can actually put some things together, yet along an elite offense like the Seattle Seahawks. But hey, I enjoyed this season. It was a great postseason, and yeah, man, that's all I got. So positivity before I leave you guys is just gonna be, you know, find the bright spots in life and in the hard times. Just find the bright spots. There's always something positive you can turn to or just look for and trigger that thought. So, you know, it's a positive mindset. My boy Cole dropped, which is dope. You gotta check out the Fall Off also. But before I keep rambling on here, I'm up out of here, man. I'll see you guys later on this week, and so on and so on and so Oh.